Howdy, howdy, howdy do, Who fans? Welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 277.
Yes.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, 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 Who fans? Welcome back to another week. Hope you're all well and keeping safe. Now, you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeedy. We had a bit of a bombshell drop this week, dude.
God, didn't we?
Didn't we just? Crikey. We're going to come on to that in a little bit, but yeah, just out the blue. No warm-up, nothing. Just dropped it.
I saw a tweet from my good friend Who, Alex. That's the first I saw of it. I'm sure the listeners know what we're talking about, but we will get onto it in the news. And I genuinely thought it was a wind-up. Mm-hmm. And I was sat there at work and I thought, they are going to get themselves in so much trouble for that. I was reading it thinking, no, you shouldn't joke about that. You're going to get slayed. And then it was true. I was like, really? I genuinely couldn't believe it.
It was crazy.
We are, of course, talking about Chris Eccleston. We'll talk about it properly in the news, but yeah.
Yes, indeedy. So, yeah, we because we review a lot of Big Finish regularly. We get the emails from the Big Finish marketing dudes, and it's normally embargoed and stuff like that. We can't talk about it. So when I saw that email come through, I thought, I think someone's lost their mind. I thought that the heat is just finally. And then I saw some tweets about it, and I was like, I'm still not buying it. Because we'll come on to it. But I thought I'm not buying this. But lo and behold, that's the thing. So yes. Anyways, welcome back to another week. New listeners who have just jumped on board the podcast, welcome. Waving to you. Our regulars and old-time listeners, welcome back. It's good to have you back, as always. So yeah, it's been a bit of a nuts week. Coming up, we have got this news to talk about. We've also got another cool piece of news, which might interest some people. Could be a cool thing. And then we're on to our review of part 5 of the Key to Time stuff.
Yeah.
Power of Kroll.
Kroll. Out of time with the drum. Kroll.
Right, Dudders. Come here.
What was he doing?
We've got this chant going on. So we need the music to line up with that, obviously. So you cool with that? Yeah. No, I mean it, Dudley. Put the whiskey down. I mean it. We need it nailed this week. Yeah. Don't worry, mate. I've got this. So, yeah, we'll come on to that. We're nearly there.
It's one note. How can it be out of time? Oh, I don't know.
But he's got, oh my God, he's got a tambourine out now. That's not going to help, is it? You're a metronome, Dudley. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, he's one of those a metronome. Yeah.
Oh dear. It's been very quiet for me, buddy. I must admit, for Doctor Who over the last week.
Well, you've been having your internet tinkered with, haven't you? So
yeah, we've had a couple. Well, I've been away. I was on like staycation-y time this week. So a lot of the time, me and the family, we've been away for a few days, and we've gone off and done as much as we can. While we can. Go back to work next week and all that rubbish. So I've been out a lot, really. I've not been in the house too much. So normally I try and squeeze in some other Doctor Who viewing, some classic or whatever. But no, nothing for me this week, dude. I've only watched The Power of Kroll, obviously, which was last night. Yeah, for the review. What about you? You done anything Doctor Who-y?
A little bit. So I during the lockdown, there was a lot of Doctor Who virtual pub quizzes and stuff, which I loved doing. And then obviously, went back to work, and that all went out the window because I wasn't able to do them. But I finally got a Wednesday off, which is when our good friend Adam does his Doctor Who pub quiz. So I was able to do the quiz this week, which was really good fun. It was so nice after sort of the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks of not being able to do them, and you see all the tweets of everyone, oh, great quiz tonight, and you think, oh, I used to love doing that. So it's really nice to jump in and do that again and just see a few familiar faces. Our good friend Rick Moran from the Dwas did it this week with his dogs. It's just really, really nice to be able to do the quiz again. We came a respectable 3rd out of 8 teams, so not too bad. Yep. It was just really nice to do that. But that's pretty much it, I think. I mean, most of this week I've been working, of course, so I haven't had a chance to watch or listen to anything. I still need to finish Stranded, the 8th Doctor, the new 8th Doctor one with the curator. Yeah. Yep. So I listened to the first one weeks ago now. Really enjoyed it, and I haven't managed to move on to the next story of that yet. So that's on there to listen to. I also listened to Rob Shearman did a podcast. The day we met him in London, he was on his way to do it, and Adam sent me the link to the podcast because apparently we got a little mention. But I listened to that. I must have missed the bit where we got mentioned because I didn't hear that particular bit. But it was really interesting listening to Rob chat, talking about him, his love for Doctor Who, his wanting to sort of, distance himself from it at some point in his life because he felt like he'd done that, and then realising that he just loved it and he should come back to it and all that sort of stuff. So that was good. So I did listen to that. But that's been pretty much it, really. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch anything. I know you were going to join me for the quiz, but of course your internet stuff put the mockers on that. But you were going to join me, weren't you, on Wednesday?
I was. Yeah, I got excited.
We'll try and get another one in. Yeah,
I got excited. I saw the guys tweeting out. I was like, yep, I'm up for that. And then, I just couldn't connect. It just wouldn't. Yeah, BT or they've kicked my ass this week.
Yeah, BT are a nightmare, mate. Yeah. We'll try and get another one in though, because as I said, it's quite rare that I get a chance to do it. But next time, we'll get in there. Yeah,
for sure. Yes.
I was on. I had Gallifrey Forever 97 on my team. The guy we always nick his trailers.
Yep.
Oh, Reese.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on my team.
Good lad.
So
good lad.
I was in good company.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, they do this thing now called Scrambled Who, which they never used to. It's a new thing, and you're gonna love it. Basically, they scramble up. It's like Countdown, the show Countdown, where they scramble up the letters.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So they do that. So they're like, this is a classic Doctor Who director, and his name's all scrambled up. And it's so infuriating because you're looking at it and you're like, I can see the name, but I can't quite get it. And then they tell you the answers, and you literally kick yourself. So I could see one of them was Martha Jones was the answer, but I could see Martin, and once you get that in your head, I was like, Martin, it's Martin somebody. Who could it be? And then they're like, Martha Jones. Oh, Martha. Oh, God. But it was that's a real cool little thing that they've started doing. But yeah, we'll get the next one. We'll get together next, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, nice one, because we kicked ass a little bit the last one. We didn't come first, but we did pretty well.
Yeah. We're getting good at that. Getting good. And no Googling allowed, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
That would be outrageous. I know you're up in the Lake District. Did they film any Doctor Who up there? Is there any Doctor Who filming? The Yeti's been up there, or was that somewhere else?
Oh, I'm not sure, buddy.
Because obviously the first thing I do whenever we go anywhere is check to see if they've filmed Doctor Who there. See my partner's face drain with blood every time. I'll just check the Doctor Who location guide. See if they did. I don't know is the honest answer. I don't know.
They probably over 50 years worth of stuff. They've probably been up around there somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, not sure, mate. But that's been us anyway for the week. Before we crack on with the show, if you're feeling a little bit like, oh, there's nothing going on Doctor Who-wise, nothing going on at all, just don't worry. We've got you covered. Just make sure you subscribe to the show. You can do that by heading over to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. There are links to all of the various podcast apps and networks, or just search for us on whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. That way you won't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Again, links to the website, links to those on the website. Come and give us a like and a follow. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And we also have a link to our free Discord server on there as well. So come and hang out and chat amongst yourselves and amongst us about all sorts of Doctor Who stuff. Loads of discussion around Big Finish at the moment on there, obviously.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
Obviously. Remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube as well, The Geek's Handbag. Go and check out loads of Adam's videos. Get yourself comfy. Lots of cool geekery over there.
I just downloaded that new software that you recommended.
Oh, any good?
I'm so bad with technology. No. It is good, but I'm so bad with technology. Come back, Movie Maker. It was so easy.
I think you need to set up a petition or something.
I was watching all these tutorial videos on YouTube. I was like, oh, but no, it's good. So I might even be able to make some new vids soon. Maybe.
Once you've done a couple, you'll be flying around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He says that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Next year, relaunch.
Now, we've got no merch this week, but for the first time in what feels like ages, we're going to land the TARDIS and do a bit of news. Let's do that. Right, digital trading card games are a thing, apparently.
Yeah.
So remember years and years ago, when we were nippers, the in thing, I imagine it still is a little bit today in certain circles, but when we were nippers, the thing to do was to collect trading cards. And there was loads of these things around. There was Transformers, there was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there was all sorts of different things. And you collected cards and you traded between your mates and all that stuff. Doctor Who is going to get this treatment, but in a slightly different twist. It's going to be a digital-only thing. So BBC Studios have partnered with Reality Gaming Group. They've created a brand new digital trading card game that's coming out later this year. We don't know exactly when, but it's coming later this year. So this will enable fans to collect and trade digital versions of their favourite characters for the first time, before adventuring through the Doctor Who worlds apart game as the Doctor, battling friends in turn-based contests. So anyone that's not familiar with that, turn-based is like, I lay this card down and its power level is 15, and then someone else is like, well, my power level 16, so I'll have your card, thank you very much. Like that kind of thing, I think.
I've got the Pating, the most deadly creature in the world. You've got the Weeping Angel. I win.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, that kind of thing, I think, anyway. As each player collects these different cards, here's the sort of twist on it. This is like the digital sort of technology side of things. As each player collects the cards, they will be tokenized into a non-fungible token. Non-fungible token is a decent word, and it's protected on the blockchain, which means there can be no duplicates, nobody arguing about who owns what card, because it's locked to that thing. And so each player will own unique digital cards and collectible items, and they can be used in the game, or you can trade with other players and stuff like that. So I think basically what it is, anyone that's heard of blockchain before, that's mainly come from like the finance world. You might have heard of people trading on blockchain, collecting like digital, not collecting, but saving digital currencies, Bitcoin, that kind of thing. So the blockchain thing enables people to say, right, I've got this card and it's unique to me because when I registered that card, I got a special token that all sort of runs in the background. These people are going to run all this stuff, and nobody can say, actually, you stole my card, because actually, no, I've got the token. This is my card. So it's all like legit, if you like. So you can't have people saying, he stole my card, he's accidentally downloaded my card, or he somehow copied my card. None of that's going to happen. So what they're going to do, along with the physical trading cards, which is something that was cool back in the day, you used to chase those kind of exclusive rare cards. They normally had like a gold sort of glittery background to it, or a silver one. They were like the ones to get. They're going to do that as well. So they're going to be there's going to be rare cards that you're going to try and chase and collect, and they're going to do limited edition packs, which has got 5 digital cards. They'll be available from October this year. And once the limited edition ones have sold out, you won't be able to purchase them again. Once they're gone, they're gone. The only way that you'll be able to get them in the future after that is to trade with other players. So it sounds quite interesting. And there's a bit of blurb from this. So the founder of Reality Group Gaming, Tony Pierce, says, we are tremendously excited to be working with BBC Studios to bring Doctor Who? Who's Doctor Who?
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who. To bring Doctor Who's huge global community an exciting new digital experience based on a pastime we all know and love, trading cards. The cards used in Doctor Who Worlds Apart are both functional and collectible, so fans can actually own a piece of the game while they play. And then the licensing manager for gaming and interactive at BBC Studios, John Kavanagh, says, this is what BBC Studios does so well, exploring new technologies and bringing our most iconic brand to an area of gaming, of the gaming industry, which we're sure will engage and thrill fans. So there we go.
I think it sounds awful. you know, I hate digital.
I think it sounds awful. Do you know what, mate? When I was reading this story this morning before we got the show together, I thought to myself, this probably sounds like Adam's worst idea of a game, because anyone that knows Adam well will know that if there's a chance to get his hands on something physical, he will do that every time.
Yeah.
So we've had this with Big Finish over the years and just various things, comics, books, whatever. Adam will always get the physical stuff. So the idea that this is a digital only sort of trading game is just, I can see him now. I can see him. He's turned a very pale colour.
Yeah, it's not for me at all. I hate digital. I don't like, that's what I was on about with the editing software. I just don't like anything like this. It's just, like you said, back in the day, me and we'd be kids outside in the sunshine playing with our collector's cards. Now kids are just going to be staring at their blimmin' screens even more than they do already, talking about cars, not even interacting, just talking to each other through a phone. I know I'm a dinosaur. I like my physical stuff. This doesn't appeal to me at all. But yeah, I did. As soon as I read it, my face is just draining at every line of the blurb about it. I was just like, oh no, thank you. Yeah. But I know the kids will love it, and I'm of my era, so I'll stay where I am. I'm quite happy surrounded by all my clutter so that I can't get out the house. But you kids go and enjoy your tablets with your digital trading cards and yeah.
I might give this a go just for the crack.
I know you. I was going to say, because you're a bit more with it than I am. You download a lot of stuff, don't you? You know how to use computers.
Yeah, I might give this a go just to see what it's like. Whether I'll dive into it a lot, I'm not sure, but I'll dip my toe in the water, see what's going on.
Give it a whirl. Yeah. Give it a whirl. Right, on to some God, I actually didn't even mean to do that. Swear on my life, I did not even mean to do that. I was going to say on to some fantastic news, but it really is. Something I don't think we ever thought we'd see. Christopher Eccleston is returning to the role of Doctor Who after 15 years since he did that series 1. Unbelievable. And he's going to be doing some Big Finish. They've managed to somehow lure him into the Big Finish studios to record 12 full cast audio adventures. They're going to be released across 4 box sets from May 2021. And Christopher Eccleston himself said, after 15 years, it will be exciting to revisit the Ninth Doctor's world, bringing back to life a character I love playing. So that's all he said, just that. But yeah, so, I mean, like we said earlier in the podcast, I think you were the same as me. I saw the tweets going out when I was at work the other day. Just assumed it was a joke. Just assumed it was a late April Fool, a lockdown April Fool. I was like, no, of course he isn't. But it's true. It is true. He's coming back. So I think this is very exciting. I think Doctor Who fans seem to be absolutely overjoyed about this. I certainly am. I think because of the voice and everything that Chris brings with him. I mean, not only was he great as the Doctor and he's a great actor, but he's got that voice, isn't he? He's just going to be so good on audio, I think.
Rose. Are we going to have Rose?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing, you see. Is this going to be set before where we don't know much about it, because the chairman of Big Finish, Jason Hay-Ellery, he says, I first talked to Chris about returning to the role of the Doctor at Gallifrey 1 convention in February this year. Chris said he was enjoying meeting the fans and was pleased that his Doctor was remembered so fondly. I am so pleased that Christopher has decided to return to the role with us, and I'm excited to welcome him to the Big Finish family as we discover the new adventures of the Ninth Doctor. So it sounds like he's, Jason's just timed it right. He's gone up, caught him at the right moment, and managed to get him involved. And I mean, the thing is, Chris said ages ago he'd never do conventions, and now he's doing them and he's loving it. He's been asked many times by fans at signings if he'll do Big Finish. He's always said no. He's always been very adamant about that, and he's doing it. So does he just like to keep us on our toes, or does he genuinely think, no, I'm not doing that, but something changes his mind? We don't know. We just don't know. Because he is a bit of an enigma, Chris. I mean, when I read his book, it was fascinating to get an insight into him as a person. But it's hard for me to get inside his head because, as I said, he was very adamant about not doing these things. Now he's doing them, and he sort of slowly seems to just be coming round. And he's always said he loved playing the Ninth Doctor, but it's sort of, I don't know, it's hard to believe because he distanced himself for so long from it. But it does seem that he genuinely did love playing the part. Maybe he just was unhappy with so much back in the day that it's taken him this long to sort of come full circle, if you like.
Mm.
But it does seem to be really getting back into sort of the Doctor Who thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Slowly, but surely.
Well, where the bloody hell was Jason back during the 50th anniversary?
Yeah. Now, the Moff tried all he could. The Moff plied Chris with wine and tried to charm him, and it just all went.
All it needed was Jason to turn up.
Yeah.
Say, Chris, stop messing about. Come on. This is amazing. We can't understate this, dude. This is amazing news. This is big news as well for Doctor Who, because on two levels, really. The first one, it just shows just how much how much weight and gravity Big Finish has got in the world of Doctor Who.
It is amazing, actually. They really have come in. I mean, they've always been into their own, they've always been great, but they really have stepped it up big time. Since they got that new series license and stuff, they've just run with it. I mean, they are, in a way, they're becoming bigger than the TV show, aren't they? In terms of the universe that they have created with all the classic Doctors and, all the spin-offs that they do, Jago and the River Song and Units, their Doctor Who world at the minute, in some ways, is bigger than the TV show, isn't it? It's just, they have just become huge. And it's quality stuff as well. It's not just like this little... Yeah, they do a bit of Doctor Who. They really are quite special, I think, Big Finish.
Yeah. No, absolutely, mate. Yeah, they're, for a number of years now, they've just absolutely nailed pretty much, all the Doctors that they've had in to do these various series and runs or just individual things. And I think the momentum started a few years back when they got David Tennant on.
Yeah.
So for him, so when Tennant comes, I mean, Tennant's always been... He's always embraced the fandom and the community anyway. But when you get someone like him in for Big Finish, it's like, come on. It's only going to be a matter of time before Matt Smith jumps on board and stuff like that. And then, so I think in some respects, it's like, well, it's better late than never kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then you kind of think, well, there's probably been... Nobody can be inside Chris's head. Like you said, he's always said, back in the early days anyway, shortly after leaving Doctor Who, he always said that he just had a bad experience with the producers on the show. He didn't name anybody at that time. He just said, my views on the character and the role and the show differed very much from the producers, and we just didn't see eye to eye, so I'm gone. And then when he was quizzed about coming back and doing all these fan conventions and engaging with fans. He just wouldn't have it. It was just, I just don't want anything to do with it. I loved doing it at the time. I loved the character, but as far as the show goes in general, I'm just done, sort of thing. So, so over the years, like you said, he always said he'd never do conventions, and lo and behold, he turns up at LFCC and just tears the roof off, and it's all great. And now he's back as the Doctor. So I'm not sure if this is going to be like a stepping stone to something more on TV, possibly. Thinking about the 60th at some point, if they're going to do a multi-Doctor story, because he might get the bug for it again if he starts playing the role. Because let's be honest, although he's started to embrace fandom a little bit more over the last year or so, he's still not committed to doing anything in terms of performing as the Doctor in any shape or form. So I'm not sure if they started recording already, because these are not out until, I think it's May next year.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm not sure if they've started recording these or if they're going to shortly. But if he gets the bug, if he's like, actually, yeah, this is amazing. Like, I've missed playing the character. I want to do more. Maybe, I don't know if old Chibbers is going to still be running the show for the 60th. But whoever it is, if they can butter him up a little bit, like, come on, Chris, let's keep the momentum going. You've embraced fandom. You're now on Big Finish. The logical next step is to come back to do the, on screen. So who knows? But overall, it's such an amazing thing for him to come back, because you and I are huge fans of his Doctor and his one series that he did. And it holds a very special place in a lot of people's hearts, because he was the guy, along with RTD and Billy Piper, he was the guy that brought it, all back for a long, long time fans embraced him immediately. It felt like new people to the show like me, who had not seen, hardly seen any Doctor Who before that point. It was amazing to watch, as a newer sort of viewer. So I think he's liked and respected by a lot of Who fans, a lot of people. So let's hope, and I'm sure this is going to be fine, but let's hope Big Finish just really sort of, bring their A game for his stories, because if it does well and he likes doing it, I think we could see a lot more of him as the Doctor moving forward. So
I'm assuming, that's why I'm hoping, that the scripts are good, because he's not fussy, but you know what I mean? I don't think if he read the scripts and just thought, oh no. I think that was the thing with the 50th, that apparently he was shown a little excerpt and just decided, no, that's not for me. You know what I mean? He's quite, and when you read his book, he says in the book that he's quite fussy with what he does and doesn't do. If a script doesn't grab him, he's just not. He does say the one thing he regrets is the Marvel. I think he said every actor sells their soul and does something they regret doing. I think that was the one he did regret doing. But he must have looked at these Big Finish scripts and seen something in them he likes. We don't know what direction they're going to take the Ninth Doctor down in these audios, but there must have been something in it that he thought, and I'm guessing, I'm just assuming it, because there might have been something different. They said, right, we want to do this with the Ninth Doctor, we want to explore this side of him. There must have been something to grab him, I think, because he wouldn't have he's so sort of choosy about what he does and doesn't do, isn't he?
Yeah.
That I don't think if they'd have just put any old script for it, I just don't think he would have gone for it. So something must have hooked him back. And I don't think, as a couple of cynical people have said, it's the money. I honestly don't think it is. I don't think Chris is hard up for a few quid. So I don't think it's the money. I'd like to think not anyway. Obviously there's that element. But Big Finish is still quite a small company in terms of what they'll be able to pay him. They're not going to be able to give him like Marvel wages, are they? No. So I don't think it's the money. I'd like to think there's something he saw in the stories that he thought, yeah, I want to give this a go. I really want to do that. So I have got high hopes. Like you said, it's not out till next year. They're going to be doing 4 CD sets and 4 limited edition vinyls. See, this is a bit heartbreaking. I can't normally. I pre-order sort of the month before with Big Finish, because they take the money straight away. I certainly can't afford to pre-order these at the moment. I just can't afford it. But the vinyls are limited. And I would love to get them, but obviously I'll be getting the CD, the physical. Obviously I'll be getting the physical sets, but I would love to get the vinyls. If they've still got them by the time I can afford them, I'll definitely get the vinyls for these as well, because I imagine the artwork will be beautiful. But are you good digital for you, or are you going to get any physical for these? The vinyls tempting you?
Well, I'm tempted by the vinyls, I'll be honest, because these don't sound like the typical sets that you pick up in Sainsbury's or Asda for $19.99. No. These actually are triple LP gatefolded, and you'll get the download version with them. So if you pick up the vinyl, you get the download version for free, and you also get access to behind the scenes interviews as bonus content, which you don't get on the digital version. So I'm tempted by this, dude. But all of the vinyl editions are limited to 1,000 copies. Yeah. So that sounds like it's a lot, but the popularity of Eccleston worldwide, I don't think they're going to be around for very long. So,
no, that's what I worried about. The price point is not too bad. I mean, the vinyls are $35.99, which is a lot of money, but Big Finish, when they've done previous vinyls, they've been around the £80 to £90, haven't they?
Exactly.
So I think they've got the price point about right. It is a little bit more than your average, you know, like you said, the ones that we get in Sainsbury's and stuff that they do for like 20 quid when they do exclusives. A little bit more, but like you said, you're getting, is it 3 vinyls, did you say?
No, it's I'm not sure how many discs you get, but it's just it's a triple, so it's like it folds out, you know. So I assume it's going to be 2 LPs. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've just seen it. No, it's 3 LP. I've just seen it on the.
Sorry, right.
Yeah, so I mean that is not bad actually. 35. Yeah, I've just seen it on I'm on the website now. So that's not bad. I know it's a lot of money, but I think, as I said, the artwork's bound to be great. They're going to be nice things to have. So yeah, I definitely want to dip into the vinyls when I can afford it. Maybe Christmas. I'll ask Santa. See if I've been good this year.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah, but it does sound pretty good. So if you can order the, as Adam said, you can pre-order the vinyl and the digital editions at the moment. The vinyls are 35 quid. The digital editions are 20 quid. But you'll also be able to order the CD versions as well. I think. Can you order CD versions?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're like 25 or I'm not sure.
4-disc collector's edition box sets. So you'll be able to get those as well. But anyways, you can pre-order them now. Head over to the Big Finish website. You'll see a big banner there for the Ninth Doctor. But this is, overall, dude, great news. Great news that he's back. And we'll see what these stories are like. Pretty sure, going on Big Finish's track record, they're going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it sounds so far away, but as we all know, it comes around very quickly. So yeah, very much looking forward to the day these get released. I think it'll be a really good day for fandom, won't it? Imagine everyone, it's out. You know what I mean? When they suddenly announce, right, it's out. It's going to be good times. Good times to come next year.
Yeah, good times indeed. Yeah. Right, we can talk about Chris Eccleston all day, I think, but we're going to leave it there. You're going to leave it there. And we're going to move on to review time. What we got, dude?
Yeah, Kroll. So this is story 5, is it? Where are we? 5 yep. in the Key to Time season. The Power of Kroll.
This must be one of the moons of Delta Magna.
I'm getting something very odd on the scanner, sir. There's movement underneath the Bagu.
It hunts by surface vibrations. It must be nearly a mile across.
The central mass is 1/4 of a mile in diameter, by about 140 feet high.
Romana? Killing this creature's got to be our first priority.
Kroll. In time, lads. Come on. The power.
How can you
of
get
Kroll.
a drum beat out of time? Anyway.
The Power of Kroll. It was first broadcast back on the 23rd of December, so Christmas Eve back in 1978, and finished up in the middle of January. It was written by Robert Holmes. It was directed by Norman Stewart. Stars Tom Baker and Mary Tamm, as we've seen throughout the previous stories in The Key to Time, about half a dozen supporting cast members. And the story for this one is the Doctor and Romana arrive on the Marsh moon of Delta Magna, looking for the fifth segment. And while they're there, they get caught up in the conflict between the natives, the Swampies, and the scientific or engineering crew on a nearby chemical refinery plant. The presence of a kind of a rogue gun runner sort of complicates everything, and it all sort of culminates with the Swampies trying to awaken Kroll, the giant god, or their god, that lives underneath the swamps on the planet. The Power of Kroll, dude. We're almost there. Part 5. What did you think?
Part 5, yeah. Well, this is the story. I think when we first talked about doing The Key to Time, I thought, it's all good till we get to Kroll, and then I just remember this story being so dull the last time I watched it. So I wasn't looking forward to this one at all. I remember it being really drab in terms of the sets and things, and the cast being rubbish and stuff. Anyway, I've given it another watch. Watched it 2 episodes a night, so I watched them, broke it up a little bit. It's better than I remember, but it's not particularly great. So there are some nice bits now. I mean, I'd forgotten how good the location stuff is. I loved all that. So I actually quite enjoyed the first part. And I was beginning to think, after part 1 and even part 2 to an extent, I thought, this is nowhere near as bad as I remember it being. You know, it's going along quite nicely. Then we got to 3 and it started to drift off a bit, and then it sort of gradually wrapped up with a pretty limp conclusion in episode 4. So it's not bad, but it's not good. It's one of those very much middle of the road stories. It's written by Robert Holmes, and normally he's considered to be a great writer for Doctor Who. He's done some absolutely fantastic stories, and also it stars the brilliant Philip Maddock. He's normally brilliant. I mean, in Morbius, Brain of Morbius, Solon, he gives a superb performance. Brilliant. Opposite Tom Baker. He looks so bored in this story. I almost wanted to reach through the screen and shake him and say, Philip, for goodness sake, put some effort in. He's really drab in this. And it's a shame, because I just really like him as an actor. And I know that there was a mix-up. So apparently he thought he was playing a totally different part. He thought he was playing Thorn, I think, the other guy. He's got a bit more of a beefier part, and it wasn't until Philip turned up to rehearsals that he realised there'd been a terrible mix-up, and he was actually playing what's the character's name, Fenner, and apparently he was quite put out by that. He was like, well, I think he thought he was going to be playing more of a lead, and I don't know if that has anything to do with why he's so subdued in this. But Philip Maddock is normally such a presence on screen, but he spends most of this leaning on a computer desk with his head, one hand in his head, sort of looking bored at a monitor. He just really looks like he doesn't want to be in it. And I think it's such a shame, because he's normally so good. I love him in the Cushy movies as well. He's just normally such a good actor. But he lets the side down for me big time in this, to be honest with you. Tom's still trying to give it some fun. He brings some fun to the story. And obviously we get Kroll, this creature the current at sea, so that's quite interesting. So there are bits of it I like, but yeah, it's a bit middle of the road for me, this one. Not great, but watchable. Very, very watchable, but not particularly great story from Robert Holmes, this one. Yeah, very middle of the road. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think just like Robert Holmes, I'm just bored of it. I'm bored of this story.
Was he bored of it as well?
Yeah, this was the last one he did. He buggered off and didn't come back for 5 years. He came back and did the Caves of Androzani in 5 years. But But even Robert Holmes was like, I can just see him clearly in my mind, just typing away, thinking, I'm about to fall asleep again. I'm only on page 6. I'm about to fall asleep. I really hope the director can do something with this because I'm done.
Well,
I'm
that's
done.
that's the thing. The director doesn't really do anything with it either.
No, so dude, this is for me. I think I agree with you. I think this is like the low point for the Key to Time.
Mm.
It's just incredibly boring, really boring. Mainly because it's just a rinse and repeat thing.
Yeah, that is the problem, isn't it? It just goes round and round in circles.
The same thing. It's like the Swampies are doing something. I don't know. Are these guys have auditioned, trying to get Bill Bixby out of a job? I don't know. So they're running around the swamp, not really doing much. No. Then we cut back to the refinery. We got the dudes just sitting there looking bored out of their minds, looking at these scanners, having the same conversation. Oh, there's something on the scanner. Oh, that's unusual. Yes, more unusual than the time we mentioned it 2 minutes ago. Oh, yes, it is more unusual, isn't it? It's a different shape. Yes, back to the Swampies. Oh, what are we going to do today? Let's run around and try and find Kroll. Awesome. Back to the refinery. There's something on the scanner. That looks unusual. And then, so thank God that the Doctor and Romana are kind of doing a little bit. I mean, Tom Baker's kind of carrying this one, to be honest. He's, and they do some stuff. Then back to the Swampies. Oh, the Dryfoots are going to attack. Oh no! Back to the refinery. There's something on the scanner. It's like, for God's sake, can we just not have can we not have the conversation centered around the bloody scanners? It's just.
That's the thing. It does. That's what I mean. The first episode, you think, oh, okay, yeah, this is quite good. We got these Swampies and the location and these guys on a base. And you think, oh, that's all right. The second one, they kind of, like you said, they just sort of do the same thing. And then by episode 3 and 4, they are literally just doing it over. That's kind of what I was getting at as well. That's why I quite like the first episode, because it sets it up, but then it doesn't progress anywhere at all, does it, really? I mean, Kroll they almost do the thing with Kroll twice. So they do a sort of, he finally comes out, I think it's episode 2, isn't it? We see Kroll. It's like, oh, there's Kroll. Mm-hmm. And then he goes down back in the sea. And then they do the same reveal in episode 4. And you think, well, it's not, we've already done that. We've already seen Kroll when he's come out and had a tantrum. And so it's all, it does. It feels like there was not enough story for 4. I mean, it probably could have just about got 3-part out of it. But yeah, it does. It just goes round in circles. I absolutely agree with you. It just doesn't go anywhere, really.
They could have had a really cool thing happening with. You have to excuse me, listeners. Once again, I'm going to be terrible with names for this, but who was
Green Man number 3?
Yeah, who was the dude that was with the Swampies? He apparently was going to give them a load of weapons, and they were going to use those.
Oh, that's Ron Dutt. It took me a long time to work out what they were saying. Ron Dutt, I think his name, character name.
Glyn Owen, yeah.
Ron Dutt, yeah. You're on about the gun runner, yeah?
That's it, yeah. Glyn Owen. Yeah. They could have done something very cool with his character.
Yeah.
So he was like just as the name suggests, like the Doctor even calls him a rogue.
A bit dodgy, a little bit ooh, a
little bit shifty, a little bit crafty. Yeah. He could have been who's the character in the McCoy stories? He's in 2 different stories. He's a bit of a lad, a bit of a schemer.
Glitz. Yeah. What about Glitz?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one. They could have had him do that kind of thing where he's a bit of a scammer. At one point he's on side with the Swampies and he's doing his business. Then he sort of defects over to the other dudes in the refinery, play them off of each other a little bit just because he wants the money. He's there to sell weapons, basically. So, but he ended up just being a bit of a wet lettuce. He just gets captured with the Swampies and then tries to... I think they try to give him a few lines that sound a bit kind of crafty. He's a bit shifty, this one, but... It kind of works for a scene, but then nothing really happens. I can't even remember what happens to him. What happens to him?
Well, this is actually, I made a note of this because I thought it was, again, this is a bit lazy on Robert Holmes's part. He just obviously gets bored of the character, can't think what to do with him. So while the Doctor, Romana, and him are escaping, he just dies. He gets caught by Kroll and whisked away.
Oh,
and the Doctor just goes, well, I told him not to run off or something.
Oh, that's
and then
right.
he's forgotten about. And I thought, gosh, talk about just like, it's like, right, I need to get this guy out of the way now. I know, Kroll kills him, he's gone. But even the Doctor doesn't seem to care. Like, the Doctor just goes, I told him not to run off. Right, now we need to get in that boat. And I thought, that's quite callous of the Doctor, really. But that's more down to the script, isn't it? Robert Holmes just didn't care about that character at all. He just puts him under the carpet. It's a shame, actually, because he's a good actor, Glyn Owen, the person who plays him. Good actor. Yes, he is in Blake 7, yes. But he could have really brought something to it if he'd had more meat on the bones. So I absolutely agree with you. Again, it's a real waste of that character should have been built up, because you don't really care about him at all. Like, you wonder what he's doing at the start, don't you? Like, he's a gun runner, what's he up to? But you lose interest almost instantly.
Yeah, well, completely. From that scene where the Swampies capture him and tie him up, because they realise that the weapons that he sold them are just not great anyway. They don't really work.
Yeah.
From that point on, we should have had this kind of attachment, like, oh no, how's he going to get out of this? How is this going to progress throughout the story? And it doesn't really. He just they get put in the stretching machine thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. He has a couple of conversations with Romana and the Doctor in that bit. And then when they're escaping and they're going off through the swamp, like you said, the tentacle comes out, grabs him, and the Doctor's like, anyway, we're on our way to... And he's just gone.
Yeah,
it's like
doesn't
gone.
care at all, does he? Yeah. Even the Doctor doesn't care. So, yeah, a real just waste of a character, that. I do quite like the stretcher scene. At first, that was where I started to drift off. I was like, oh, they've been captured. This is getting boring. But what saves it, and I think this comes back to what you said about Tom carrying this story, is he keeps going on, banging on about the window, doesn't he? He's like, oh, what, who put that window in? And Romana's like, what are you on about? And then we cut to the scene later where he does the high-pitched scream to smash it. I found all that quite fun and interesting. And I thought, that's an interesting way for them to escape. Like, the Doctor didn't get his Solic out and managed to free himself like they would now. He, does this weird high-pitched scream that smashes the window, enabling the rain to soak the plants or whatever, so they can break them. It's just something different, So I will give Robert Holmes that. I did like that just idea. Thought that worked quite nicely.
Yeah.
But that, again, those scenes like with Tom, when he's saying about the guy with the narrow little eyes and all that, it's just little moments like that just about kept me, involved in the story, if you like. Fun moments like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, absolutely, I think the main thing that I've got in my notes that I typed was like Tom Baker carrying story, literally from start to finish. And unfortunately for Mary Tam, she doesn't really get to do much in this one, because we've been really impressed with her character throughout the previous 4 stories, because she's had this very independent nature about her, very confident, and stands up to the Doctor pretty much every time. She doesn't take any nonsense. But in this one, she kind of defaults back to kind of typical Doctor companion in this a little bit. She just very much follow behind, and there's none of that kind of banter that we've had in the past few stories. Like we've said, it's great the way that Tom's just kind of looking out the side of his eye. He's quite annoyed because
she's always behind, over his shoulder.
Because he knows that she's got his number. She knows that he's not always right and that kind of thing. We don't really see any of that in this one. We don't really see any. She just doesn't really do, or she doesn't take charge of anything. She doesn't have like those little sort of sub-missions that she goes off and accomplishes that we've seen in the previous stories. So again, it's like there are some good things about it. We'll come on to a couple of good things. But overall, I'm sorry, listeners, but yeah, this is just...
It's the weakest one so far.
It's definitely the weakest
story. Yeah, I agree about Romana. It is a shame, actually, because we've been saying how much we've enjoyed Mary Tam. She's been really good so far. And there's nothing wrong with her in it. She just doesn't get anything to do apart from sort of at the start when she gets tied up and you think, Romana's in a bit of danger. And I did like the conclusion to that cliffhanger. So you see the claws coming up. You think that's Kroll, that creature. It turns out to be a guy in a suit. again, it was just a nice little unexpected. Oh, that's interesting. Went nowhere, of course, but that was quite good. But apart from that, really, she doesn't get anything to do at all. I think the only sort of nice moment between her and Tom that comes to mind is in the stretcher when she's just telling him off, like, well, what are you banging on about the window for and all that. That was quite nice, but otherwise, yeah, she gets very little to do. Very little to do in this. It's a shame.
Yeah.
What did you think about the fact we get to see K9 out of his tin costume? So obviously John Leeson's in this, doing his best concentration acting. I mean, it's nice to see John in the show as a character, because you sort of think, oh, that's K9, who we don't see, do we? I think we might hear him at the start. We don't see K9 at all, do we?
No, we don't.
No, there's no way he would have got through the marsh vines at all. But we get to see John Leeson, the actor who voices him. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen John Leeson in any other TV show. I mean, I know he did other work, but yeah, what did you think? It's nice to see him out of this. It's nice to see him.
Yeah.
And he's giving an okay performance, but it is very amateurish as well, isn't it? I mean, he's just doing that sort of that face that you pull when you're trying to act really intense. I'm staring at the screen. I'm, like you said, he does. That's all he really does until he gets shot, of course.
Do you know what? It's a shame as well for that character, because that's, oh God, this is one of the characters I had in my notes that I just really didn't like watching, because on one hand, yeah, it's great to see John Leeson like in the flesh, as an actor, not just a voice actor. It is great, obviously. But the character, is it Degene or Degene? I think it's
Degene.
Degene, yeah. He just had the same expression on his face the whole time.
I know. Yeah. You can tell he's not an experienced actor, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it was John Leeson doing this, or whether it was Norman Stewart saying, "Look, you're the concerned member of the crew, right? We've got the other crew members who we've got this very sort of loud, opinionated, sort of controlling person. He's like the dude at the top. Thorn. Yep. We've got, let's not even talk about Fenner. He's going to be asleep for most of it. So you're like, we got the other guy as well. Is it Harg? He's just like,
oh yeah, he don't last.
Yeah, he's Mr. Expendable. So you're the guy that's like, you're concerned about everything. So you're the guy that's got the science degree. You're the one that's like, you have to be the voice of reason to like the crazy Thorn dude. So I don't know if it was a case of that or not, but he's just got the same expression on his face. It's like every time you see him, he's got this, it's like a combination of confusion and worry.
Yeah.
All the time. He's kind of staring at the monitors, the screens, and he's like, oh, that wasn't there this morning. Whatever. Oh, no. And then like someone comes in and like, oh yeah, that's unusual. Back to the rinse and repeat thing. Oh yeah, that's unusual. How the bloody hell has that been? How long's that been there? We've not noticed it. And then we're back to John Leeson, and he's like, oh, I don't know.
The best
God,
bit of acting
Lord.
The best bit of acting we get from him is when he gets shot. He does actually look quite surprised.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I know. I mean, I know he has. When I say not an experienced actor, I know people shouting, saying, "Oh, he has done lots of things." I know he has, but he does in this. He just does that same expression throughout the whole story. I mean, probably not his fault. There's not a lot for him to work with in the script. I'll give you that. But it just reminds me of, when you're in a school play and you're trying really hard to do your best acting, but you just ended up putting that same worried expression. It just I don't know. It just reminds me of just very amateur sort of performance.
The best line we had from him, he wasn't even on screen. So there's a bit where the other dudes are in there and they're like, right, get him out of bed because something's going on. Because we've seen something unusual on the scanner. Surprise, surprise. So they're like on the radio, oi, get out here, we need you. And then he's like really snappy. He's like, now or something. What now? And that's it. That's like the best bit of acting. He's not even on screen. It's like, come on, dude. I know that you do your best acting off screen anyway as K9, and then he comes in, he's just zipping his thing back up, sits down in the chair, and he's like, oh no. back here we are again. Sorry.
Scanner. Yeah. Oh, man. I do like Thorne. I think he's the only one. I mean, he's not great, but he's the best of a bad bunch, isn't he? At least Neil McCarthy is trying to bring something to the table. I mean, he's not brilliant, but he's more interesting than those two. And when he's going a bit doolally at the end and shooting people, he's like, well, I warned him. You saw me warn him. There is a performance there, at least. So I will say he did bring something to this. He did manage to wake me up a couple of times. Like, oh, Thorne's back in the room. He's going to kick some backside now. He was at least giving a good performance, I think, Neil McCarthy.
Yeah.
As Thorne. I think you can see why Philip Maddock was perhaps a bit annoyed that he wasn't playing that part, because you can imagine Philip Maddock doing all the things that Thorne does, all the losing the plot, shooting Degene. You can imagine Philip Maddock playing that part. So the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just looking at Philip looking all miserable, thinking that should be me. That should be me doing that. That should be me shooting him in the back, because you can see him playing that part.
They simply won't do.
Yeah. So you see, I think Neil McCarthy probably is the better of the three. I quite liked him in this.
Yeah. Well, that's because first of all, he's got an agenda. Basically, you can tell that he's not just there to farm the methane and all that stuff. Yeah. You can tell that he's actually got a bit of he just doesn't like the inhabitants of the moon, the Swampies. He's got like a kind of personal agenda where he just wants to wipe them out. It's like, bosh, I just want them gone. Because at the beginning, there's one of the Swampies is a bit of a servant-y, slave kind of thing, isn't he?
Oh yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So and Thorne, he's just really horrible to him. Like every interaction he has, and then I think the Doctor quizzes him about it, and he's like, "No, they're not proper people. They're not, all that kind of stuff." So his character actually had a bit of substance to him. He wasn't he wasn't just there to do a job. He actually had this kind of hatred for the Swampies that came through whenever he was talking about them. And then obviously he ends up killing Harg. He sort of murders him in front of Fenner. And come on, dude. This is another example you said earlier about Philip Maddock. When he shoots him, Philip Maddock's like, oh. And then, you shouldn't have done that. Well, I wanted to. And then the only little bit we see of Philip Maddock when he's like, I'm going to report you for murder. And then as soon as he's had his little outcry, which lasts 3 seconds, he's back to his seat with his head in his hand. He's like, anyway, I'm going to report you when I get back.
Yeah, I know. I'm so disappointed in Philip Maddock in this. I'm so disappointed in him. Because I love him in all the other, he's in the War Games playing a really weird, sinister character, and he's so good in Morbius. He's so flat in this.
Yeah.
I know that he's sulking. I know he hasn't got the part he wanted, but get over it.
Yeah, he's like this. It's brilliant. He's like, you just killed that man. That's murder. And then he has his little outcry, and then he's like, anyway,
back to the scanner.
I'm going to report you for that. Oh, crap. There's something on the scanner. Something unusual. Yeah, it's... I
think, actually, they even do that scene twice, don't they? He says that, they look at the scanner, and then doesn't he say, well, I saw you clearly shoot him. I'm thinking, they do that, don't they? They do that scene twice. Everything is just repeats in this. Well, Thorne's got a cracking tash, so he's good in that. You're right, he has got a bit of development to the character. So I think we're going to say he's definitely one of the better ones in it.
What about the Swampies then, these dudes?
Yeah, is it Thorne that shouts "Swampy Lover" or something? Who shouts "Swampy Lover"? Because that cracks me up. I think that's Thorne.
Before we get onto the Swampies, actually, one of the other dudes has a hilarious death on the refinery. After Kroll has appeared.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bit where one of the big pipes blows out and the tentacle comes through.
Yeah.
And what you would do in that situation normally is you'd leg it, wouldn't you? The guy's just like, I don't know, he's just standing there on a spot, sort of flailing his arms. He's like, oh no, it's coming towards me. I would run, but it's my dramatic death scene. And then they all come running in, and then you just see him getting sort of carried along Oh man,
it's the cliffhanger as well. What an odd cliffhanger! A character that we don't care about being killed.
Yeah,
and it's like, what? I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, it's hilarious how the tentacle sort of suddenly wraps around him.
Yeah,
picks him up and carries him off down the pipe. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Swampies.
Yeah.
We had the delusional guy, didn't we? The guy who's leading them all, who thinks that Kroll actually is a god and that the blood sacrifice is needed and he can control Kroll if this happens and all this jazz. He wasn't too bad. It was quite frustrating, his constant denial and everything, which was completely intentional. So it was good that I felt frustrated with it because I thought, right, I'm actually being pulled into the story a little bit. But the other Swampies, I'm not really sure what to say about those guys. Really, they were just kind of following this dude's orders, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the lead guy, again, I like the fact you could tell he was trying. He obviously took the part seriously under all that ridiculous makeup and stuff. So I think he gave a fairly decent performance. Like you said, you kind of bought into the fact that he believed in all this stuff. So I liked that. The other ones are totally forgettable, apart from maybe Swampy Slave. But I think even that could have been built up a bit more, because that's quite a horrible situation that they've got this poor old Swampy that they're just using as a slave and stuff. But it's not really explored at all, is it? But there's just one scene really, I think, when the Doctor's involved, where you feel a bit sorry for him, like you said, because Thorne is so vile towards him, isn't he? You sort of think, poor old Swampy, but it doesn't really go anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that guy, Ranquin, I think his name is, the Swampy, played by John Abineri. He was, like you said, I think he was kind of into it because even like
the leader one. He's got
they've got those beanie hats on that have been frayed at the edges and sprayed green and stuff, and under that stuff they're still trying to do a decent performance, because I think the guy at the beginning, I think his name was Mensch, or Mensch, the slave Swampy in the refinery, played by Terry Walsh. Where have we heard that name before?
Oh, he's a stunt guy. Yeah, he does a lot of Tom Baker stunts.
That's right. Yeah, played by that dude. I think he's there sort of undercover, because he's up on the balcony. He's got the flashlight, like doing the Morse code light signals and stuff. He was not too bad. I think he's trying to play it a little bit understated anyway, because he's there as a mole sort of thing. He's there to report back. So even though he does get treated like beep, he sort of puts up with it. And then you've got Ranquin, who's doing it. The other Swampies, they're just fairly...
they're just extras.
Yeah, just extras, really.
They don't bring anything to it. I was going to say, actually, that base, so they're on the... It did strike me in episode 4. I was thinking, how are they meant to be getting to and from that blimmin' base so quickly? Are they supposed to be getting there by boat? I mean, they seem to go from the marshland to being on the base to the marshland to but
yeah, and
it's like it's like a thing in the middle of the sea, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, and if you look at the those miniature shots where you see the refinery, and those waves are huge.
Yeah,
there's no way that they're in those little canoe or kayaks, whatever, that they go around the swamp in.
It didn't match up to me at all. That I just thought that didn't work. Like you said, it's not feasible going from that location to the model shot. It just wouldn't. How does that work?
Yeah, very weird.
I didn't really think about it till part 4 though.
Yeah. Sets. We had a bit of controversy on the sets in this, didn't we? So, a name that some of you might know, Graham MacDonald at the BBC, the dude that was responsible for, I want to see every script that goes out. I want to do all this stuff. He's the guy that took out a couple of scenes because he felt it was inappropriate from other stories and all that lot. Anyway, he watched it and said the sets looked like crap.
Well, they did.
So who did the sets? Don Giles. He fired him and said that you're never going to work on Doctor Who again.
Really?
These are like the worst thing I've ever seen. And and what's sort of rubbing salt in the wound a little bit is in part 3, the Doctor has a little dig at the Swampy. You know, the stretching scene in the execution chamber.
Yeah.
He says to the Swampy that the decor's a bit crap, and whoever was the architect should be fired.
Yeah, he does. Little joke there.
Yeah, I mean, the sets are very, very bland. And this is the thing that happens with classic Doctor Who a lot, and I still don't get it to this day, is the colour choices for the set accessories are always dreadful. So they have these really nice, well, I say really nice, they have these kind of clean-looking sets that are like silver controls and, you know, white floors and stuff. It looks quite clean. But then they go and put all these bright red and bright yellow trunking tubes everywhere. And it just doesn't look very good at all. But the thing with this one, it's a bit of a strange one, the story, because the external location shots look pretty cool. Like, I don't know where they went to film the swampy stuff, but, you know, it is actually proper swamps. Where was it? The Maltings in Suffolk.
Oh.
Yeah, around that sort of... so they're proper swamps, everything looks pretty good. But then when you go to the sets, they just look like the execution chamber was just dark and drab, nothing going on in there. And then the refinery sets, it was literally, they could have just turned up at Shepherd's Bush and just filmed in the corridors.
Yeah, it does look dreadful. I mean, that's the thing. I like the location stuff. I think that, to me, saves this story. If this was all studio like Ribos, I don't think I could make it through. It's so drab when we cut to studio. The location stuff looks great. I mean, I love the TARDIS landing in the long vines at the start. It's just something about that that's really nice. But then, you cut to these dreadfully boring sets. I mean, the countdown as well. The countdown clock is sort of cut out into this sort of metal in a really bad way. The production side of the interior scenes just is dreadful. I'm not surprised that he got sacked. I didn't know that, by the way. That's quite interesting. It's quite funny as well that they've got that line in the story, because I hadn't picked up on that at all. But it really does look drab, and it doesn't help the fact, you know, because the dialogue is so boring as well in those scenes. When you've got boring dialogue, boring sets, and dreadful costumes as well. They look ridiculous in those costumes, don't they?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a very bad version of sort of Space 1999 outfits or something. But so coupled with that, it really does make it hard work to watch. I think the studio scenes. It's just so boring visually and boring dialogue. It's just not a good combination.
Yeah, and there was a bit where the Doctor's trying to break into this room, and he gets what looks like a big Allen key out of his pocket, and there's like a metal thing up on the wall. I'm thinking that's going to come off the wall in a minute. As he's pretending to turn something inside it, it's all kind of wobbling around, and he's holding it in place while he's doing it, and you know, it's
you
all
half
great.
Expect the ladder to fall off and the whole set to come down, don't you?
Exactly that. Yeah, it's all great, kind of those things that we love about classic Who, like, you know, the tiny budget, you know, just making stuff, like a bit of a Blue Peter moment, just cobbling stuff together. It's that style of it is great, you know, has its charm, but there's just nothing else that rescues it from that feeling, really. There's no one scene that you think, wow, this set looks awesome or whatever. So, yeah.
What do you think of the direction? Because, you know, we get a lot of... So when Kroll makes his appearance, we get a lot of split-screen stuff going on, which gets criticised quite a lot. But I think, apart from one or two bits, I think it works all right for the time. I think there's a bit... I think the first sort of time we see Kroll, I think it looks quite good. And then I think there's a bit later on where the heads of the actors is slightly cut off. You think, they haven't got that lined up right. But the model work and location, I don't know. It's very dated, but to me, it didn't look too bad. I thought I kind of liked it in a sort of, like you said, that Doctor Who charm. I think it has.
Yeah.
When we see Kroll, or did you think it just looked terrible?
I didn't think it was too bad for its time, to be honest with you. And when you think about it, if you're going to do a giant monster that's like hundreds of feet tall and, you know, that big, you're really limited on how you can do that anyway. So I think the way they did it, where they just sort of cut the scenery off and it looked like it was sort of over the hill, sort of in the distance kind of thing, I think is the only way they could have sort of sensibly done that without it. Because if they would try to sort of superimpose it into the landscape, it just would have looked awful.
It probably would have looked really bad. Yeah, no, I think it works. It does the job. Yeah. But what do you think of the actual overall direction, though, from Norman Stewart? Not a name that I particularly recognise, but
no.
For me, it's very mixed. There are some shots which I think are really nice. Mostly the the location shots, like some lovely bits of Tom and Mary, like with the blue sky behind him and the tree. I thought, that's lined up nicely, and the TARDIS landing. So there's a few bits where I think it looks great, but then for the most part, I think it's just there's no flair to the direction at all.
Yeah,
bit of a mixed one.
I don't know. It's just very static, I think.
Yeah,
very static. Which is surprising because Norman Stewart was a production assistant on some really good stories. So you'd have thought they would have picked up. So he was on like The Underwater Menace, The Invisible Enemy, The Daleks, The Web Planet, Planet of the Giants, all, like Day of the Daleks. He was, he's been around, a lot, so he knows, what's going on. So it's kind of surprising, really. But yeah, it just felt a little bit kind of just...
a bit static.
A little bit static. I think if we had a bit more going on, like some tasty scenes going on, it would have helped a little bit. Because even the chase scenes, like when the Doctor and Mary escape with Rom Dutt, when they escape and the other Swampies are chasing them across the thing, even that doesn't really feel like they're in any sort of danger or anything. You just see sort of casually trotting along the swamp, and then the Swampies are legging after them, but they don't really catch them for some reason, even though the Doctor and Mary are just sort of casually having a little jog, and then they hop in the boat and off they go. That just feels very much, that feels quite static as well. So
it's not great. It's not great. I mean, I know he probably didn't have a lot to work with the sets. Like we said, that you can tell they're really small, and the budget side of things has clearly let down the production. It just looks incredibly cheap once we get into studio. As I said, I think the location work saves it a bit.
Yeah. I don't have anything else, but I did want to talk about and ask your opinion on the Kroll model itself, the giant cabbage. What did you reckon to this? Actually, it looks more like if you've ever seen any cookery programs or books, some chefs like to do a roasted celeriac. So what did you think to this one then?
I don't know. I love it in a sort of classic Doctor Who way. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I can say, really. I can't.
It's not a ringing endorsement, is it, for the creature design on this?
It's a bit like the Drashigs. I hate to bring them up because I know you hate them, but there's something about the modern work that I just love from.
Oh, shut up! Come on,
this era. Yeah. No, I got a soft spot for Kroll.
Well,
he looks all right.
He definitely looks better than a Drashig. Let's be honest. I said that.
Can he see though? He hasn't got any eyes.
Doesn't need to, mate. Tentacles.
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Don't need it, mate. But I thought it was kind of cool. I think one thing they did get right, which does look pretty cool, is the scale. So
true.
Yeah, making him look huge, because there was a couple of scenes where the Doctor and Romana are in the boat, and there's a couple of Swampies in the foreground, and they look tiny compared to him. So they got the scale fairly down in most shots and stuff. The only bit I wasn't too keen on was later on, where you see him up against the refinery in the water, and you see just like a big rubbery tentacle just flopped over the top. And,
yeah.
But then again, limitations being what they were and stuff, it does look kind of cool. It's got that old kind of, those really, really old dinosaur Godzilla films that have got those puppets and stuff. It's got that kind of...
got a charm to it, definitely.
School. Yeah.
What do you reckon about the fact that he's part of the key, though? What do you think to that revelation at the end?
Yeah, that was.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, like most things with this story, on one hand, it's cool that he was just a normal squid doing his business in the swamps, and because of the segment, it sort of changed his whatever it is. Atomic structure, DNA structure, whatever, and made him this giant thing. But on the other hand, it just seems like a bit of a very quick wrap up at the end. Like the Doctor's like, don't worry, it's just this, and everything's cool now. So there's a bit of a quick wrap up. It would have been cool for them to try and investigate Kroll earlier on, to try and get to the bottom of, why he's that size and all that stuff. So it was a little bit of a convenient, quick explanation towards the end, but. The explanation itself was kind of cool. It just would have been nice to have dived into that a bit more, because it would have provided a bit more of a thing to do throughout the story.
I feel like a lot of things in this story, I feel like Kroll wasn't utilised very well. Like you said, they could have made much more of that monster. You know, instead of just having him pop up and have a bit of a tantrum twice during the whole thing, they definitely could have made more of it. It is interesting that it turns out to be the key. I kind of like it, but like you said, it does just wraps everything up, and I don't know, it felt a little unsatisfying in many ways, but yeah, it takes a long time to summon Kroll as well, doesn't it? When they're doing the out of time drum, it's like Kroll. That went on forever.
It did.
I was like, come on, Kroll.
Come on, mate.
God, looking at my watch.
We're waiting for you.
It seems to take forever. It literally goes on for about 5 minutes, all that chanting before.
Yeah.
It's really padded.
It is. Yeah.
I don't think I've got much else to add. I thought Dudley's music, I know, out of time drum beat aside, the music's quite charming in this, because I think we said in Tara it seemed a bit off, but yeah, I thought Dudley's music was quite nice in this one. Have I got anything else on my list? No, not really. I did make a note of, I did like the Doctor's line, because Tom is fun in this. Again, you said he's kind of carrying it. He does get some lovely lines in this, and I did make a note of, I liked it in the last part where he turned to, I think it's Thorne, and he says, "Oh, maybe Kroll's saving you for pudding." And I just thought that's very funny. So I loved little moments like that. They do help to keep you going in a story like this, I think. When you've got it's quite laboured, this story. It does drag a lot of padding. You need moments from Tom like that just to make you smile and wake you up.
He's quite funny as well. He is quite funny in this one.
He's good. Yeah, he's quite good in this one. Yeah. But that's it. I don't think I've got anything else. No.
Yeah, same, mate. I'm done. Definitely done with this one.
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
Scores on the doors. Who's going to go? Whose turn is it to go first?
I think it's you, isn't it? First this time?
Yeah. I'm going in with a 4.
A 4. Okay. I've written 5.5. I didn't hate it. Just didn't think it was that great. So 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, I went for a 4 just because I was bloody bored. Literally by the end of it, I was like, thank God for that.
I was pleased when it was over. I think there was a slight bit of relief for me because, believe it or not, I remembered it being worse. I think I went into it with unbelievably low expectations. It wasn't quite as bad as I remembered. So I think that helped.
Yeah, not a terrible watch, but certainly one of the Fourth Doctors, in terms of his era, one of his lowest points, I would say, and definitely the lowest point. Well, we'll find out next week, but definitely the lowest point so far in the Key to Time.
Yeah, it's definitely the one I've enjoyed the least so far. Yeah, it's overtaken Tara.
Yes. Yeah. So a 4 from me, 5.5 from Im. What did our listeners think? We had a few audio clips in. First of all, from Down Under, this is Sammy.
G'day, Gary, and what the insert expletive here was that accent you were doing last week, Adam? Did you strangle a galah? Sammy Satine here. So, the Power of Kroll. What a complete waste of time. What on earth was Robert Holmes thinking? I can't tell you how rubbish this is. I like Romana one. See, here's a companion for the audience to see the Doctor through that may, yes, be one of his own kind, but no less interesting, and gives us the ability to see him from a different perspective than previously. This is precisely what is lacking with 13 and the fam. Chibnall, are you listening? I give this story 4 Kroll out of 10. Stay safe, keep washing your hands, wearing a mask, etc. See ya.
A 4 as well.
Yeah, big galah.
You big, great galah. Yeah, Adam, what you doing? Bloody
I promised them to do an Aussie accent again.
Oh, dear. A 4 from Sammy, though, yep. Kind of agree with you there. Old Sammy, yep. Moving on. This is it Tom this week or is it Seb? Let's find out.
Hello, Gary and Adam. I hope you are all well. Please do excuse my voice. I am quite ill this week. Well, anyway, this week it's the Power of Kroll. It's an interesting one. Well, Romana, as per usual, is on top form. She is definitely my favourite Romana. I think, well, I'd say this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I like it. Actually, yes, I like it a lot. Although it drags in some parts, I still think it makes for an excellent story, and it might be one of my favourites of this season. So, I hope you enjoy it, but I have a feeling that you won't. Well, we'll see. Bye for now.
Yes.
Well,
we definitely didn't enjoy it as much as we hoped we would.
A guilty pleasure.
Seb, yeah. Seb, rolling with the Tom Baker impressions. Another week. I think this is like week number 6 now, isn't it?
What are you going to do, Seb, when we get to another Doctor? Are you going to burst into McCoy and start rolling your R's?
Yes. Thank you very much, Seb. Right, Joe Turner. Let's do it.
Kroll, Kroll, Kroll. The Power of Kroll. Well, to sum this up, there was lots of very out-of-breath Kroll chanting and a giant squid-looking creature called Kroll, who kept appearing, killed someone with those awful, inaccurate tentacles, which took an age to wrap a body around, and then disappeared again. Tom was very good again. He cracked a few jokes and was very funny. Romana wasn't overly involved, but when she was, it was often putting Tom in his place, which I found very funny. And I like the stuff happening at the refinery with the crew and their contrasting view, especially when it comes to murdering an entire group of Swampies. It was quite entertaining. But once we cut back to the Swampies and that silly leader who was incredibly stubborn and naive, well, I just didn't have the patience. Finally, the guy who played Rankin was okay, but he had a very poor Cockney accent. But, oh well. Overall, I'd give this episode a 4 out of 10. It was just a little bit under par for me this week, and probably the lowest point of the Key to Time, but I suppose the only way is up. Thank you.
Another 4.
Yes. The only way is up. Well, is it? I don't know. What have we got? We'll see.
Yeah. Well, the last one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Armageddon. Yeah. So hopefully, Joe, hopefully the only way is up indeed. But yeah, another 4. Thank you very much, Joe. Last one. Martin Arnold.
I'm not sure this is a good idea, because in the background you can hear a lot of noise, and that's the thunderstorm that has now started to happen. Behold the Power of Kroll. So if this doesn't make it to broadcast, either I recorded it too late or it's just not suitable, so apologies, or not. It's only rock and Kroll, but I like it. This is a good Bob Holmes story. I'd forgotten he wrote this, and I actually really like this. It's my favourite of the Key to Time stories, or at least equal with the Wybus operation. I enjoyed both episodes for very different reasons. This is a good paced story. The cast are really strong. The people playing the bass, I forget their names. One of them is K9, I think. Are really good. You know, they're a really good, well chosen cast, and of course the other one is So Long from The Brain of Morbius, and it's a nicely subversive script. I'm going to sign off now because I fear the Power of Kroll is reaching overhead, but this is a good story. I'll give this an 8 out of 10. Take care, Time Lords.
Thank you very much, Martin. 8.
Martin, I'm pretty sure Kroll was just creeping up behind him out of the water there.
Yeah, it sounds like he was in the swamp.
You're still with us. Yeah, it did. Hope you're still with us, Martin. Kroll didn't get you.
Yeah, glad you like this one, Martin. Yes. That's going to do for audio clips. We had a few over on the socials, over on Twitter. Jeff Waddle says, too slight a story for 4 episodes. Not great, but not awful in a bang average season. Given that we didn't have fancy TVs in the 70s, in the cliffhanger to episode 3, Kroll looked very impressive. Now it makes the dish rags look like Jurassic Park dinosaurs. The dish rags, love it. Gives it a 6 though, 6 out of 10. Our writer, Jordan Shortman, says, it's a story where the concept works, but it falls apart visually. Kroll itself is pretty impressive, as is the location work, and somewhere the script has a commentary on colonialism, etc., but it gets lost in the green body paint, boring sets and dull direction. Not too bad, just okay. Yeah. Rick Moran from the DWAS. Short and sweet, a good script, let down by limited production values, a 6 out of 10. And the Lost on Gallifrey podcast says, it's all right, this one. Bog standard, some would say. Very good. Not much happens in a lot of runtime, but I appreciate the location work and the long shots of Kroll. Like the idea of what Kroll is. Spoiler. Apart from that, all I ever remember is Tom's high-pitched scream. Gives it a 5.5. Gives it a 5.5. And over on Facebook, we had a few there. What Where's that gone? Right, Charlie Turner says, so bad it's good, like the Crotons.
Ooh.
Fun too, I might add, even if Kroll himself looks ridiculous, an 8 out of 10.
Don't let him hear you say that, Charlie.
Yeah. Millie Mackenzie says, oh dear. This series was doing so well. I enjoyed John Leeson's real person acting and the torture device was cool, but it really wasn't very good. And I don't say that often. Also, where are all the women swampies? That's a good point. Where are all the chicks?
Yeah.
The green chicks.
Yeah, there's no female swampies.
Not at all.
You swampy lover.
Yeah, you swampy lover. But Millie gives it a 5 out of 10. Great cure for insomnia, though, she says. It's just all green dudes. That's a very good point. Lots of green dudes, no green chicks. I don't know. And lastly, Toby Coleman says, I watched this recently after falling asleep for the first time. I watched it. I enjoyed it, but I can see why it has a negative reputation. I enjoyed watching the voice of K9 act, and I quite enjoyed the setting, which I have been near when it was filmed before I knew where it had been filmed. Tom and Mary were brilliant as ever, and the torture device was interesting. I didn't know Tom could hit them high notes. However, the chanting was out of time, and Kroll itself has dated badly. I didn't fully get into the story. I'm a little confused. Overall, 6 tentacles of calamari out of 10. So there we go. I think overall, as expected, the Power of Kroll not really hitting the mark, but we have got a few fans, it seems.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I think there's worse. I think it's pretty middle of the road.
Yes.
But there are a lot worse.
Next week,
Underworld.
Underworld. Next week, Bud. What we got?
Oh, next week. So we're wrapping up the Key to Time season then with the Armageddon Factor, the final story. Will they get all the segments? What will they do with them? I wonder. Is this a 6-parter?
It is, yes.
Oh, my word. Okay, I hope it's good because
whereas
with Kroll, I remember, I got it in my head that it was not that good, and I don't really remember anything about the Armageddon Factor. I genuinely can't I can't remember if it's good, bad. I just don't remember anything about it, apart from giant headphones. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not even sure if I've got the right story.
Yeah, well...
Giant headphones?
Yeah, you got the right story.
Big silver can. Yeah, that's literally all I can remember. So in a weird way, I'm looking forward to it, but 6 parts, it better be good.
Yeah, I'll have to see what those dudes on Atrios and Zeos are fighting about.
Are we, I assume we're going to see the White Guardian again at some point? Are we going to see the Black Guardian?
Yeah, it all comes to light.
It's got to come together, yeah.
You mentioned Underworld. Oh. I assume you're not a fan.
Well...
Have a shot who directed Underworld.
Oh, no. Was it?
Norman.
Norman.
Yeah, bugger.
What's his name? Norman what?
Norman Stewart. Directed
Stewart.
2 stories of Doctor Who, Power of Kroll and Underworld. Bless him.
What a CV.
Anyways, so next week we're on to the final part, and I think we're going to do that, Bud, for what episode is this?
277.
277. Thank you so much for sticking around for another week and joining us on the show. We had some awesome news to talk through. It's great that Chris Eccleston is back playing the Doctor over at Big Finish. Can't wait for that dude. I wonder who they're going to pair him with, whether they're going to do a cheeky little companion link up, or if he's going to go solo. I don't know.
Or Clive. You could have Clive back. The Clive Adventures. You'd love that, wouldn't you?
Can you just imagine? He's like, so you spoke to Rose, didn't you? I can't, something's happened, but, I need you. You've got all of this research, everything. Let's go. We're off. Oh, that'd be amazing.
He could do it because, what's his name? Benton. What's his name?
Oh, Ian Levine.
No,
Ian
not Benton. The actor Clive.
Oh, Clive, sorry.
Mark Benton.
Mark Benton, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, not Ian Levine. Yeah, he's been doing a bit of Big Finish lately, hasn't he? So it could happen.
It could do, yeah. Bloody hell, Ian Levine with Chris Eccleston.
John Levine, oh no.
Is it John Levine?
John Levine.
John Levine, oh my God. Anyway, whatever companion they put with him, it will be awesome.
Yes.
But how cool would it be to have Ace and the Doctor and the Ninth Doctor? That would be cool.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yes. Anyways, forgetting Ian Levine, whoever that is, remember to check out the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous eps on there. Plus, you can link off to the various podcast apps and networks, so you can subscribe so you don't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. And if you've got a minute to leave a rating and a review, that would be awesome, because that helps us out loads. All of our articles from our awesome writing team on there as well. Loads of Big Finish reviews and just general cool Doctor Who articles. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Hit us up over there. And there's a link on the website to our free Discord server, so come and hang out and chat Doctor Who there as well. Check out my co-host channel on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, The Geek's Handbag. Lots of vids for you to go and enjoy over there on the old YouTube.
Indeedy. Get a drink, get yourself comfy, settle in and watch loads of Adam's videos. Adam's on the socials too, under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. Give him a like and a follow so we can waffle about Doctor Who like we do on this show too. Next week, the Armageddon Factor, we're going to wrap up the key to time, so get that watched, because we'll be asking for your thoughts over there. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,